Hello, and welcome to today's Agilov webinar entitled Save Time on Contract Review with AI. I'm Hiro Natani, VP of Marketing at Agilov. This is one of several webinars in the Agilov webinar series about best practices in contract lifecycle management. What contract management software can do for your legal department and the company as a whole, and how to best move towards implementing a solution. I have with me today Ellen Nendorf, founder of LPM Executive. Ellen works with corporate legal departments to establish and improve the legal operations function. She covers everything from process improvement to technology rollout and optimization to really help legal departments work most effectively with the resources they have available to them. So welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, Hiro. I'm happy to be here. For the legal profession, it really does come down to time. There are only so many hours in the day, despite my near constant pleas to the universe for more time. And realistically, with limited resources and this global pandemic that we're in, if legal professionals want to maintain any kind of healthy work-life balance, we need a time-saving solution. And so that's why artificial intelligence is so appealing. It can and will help you to be a better lawyer. This webinar is not intended to be a comprehensive primer on AI today or a deep dive into how the technology works, but rather today's goal is to show how truly beneficial it can be for legal professionals in a contract lifecycle in terms of giving extra time in the day to focus on big picture, strategy, and high priority items.
Thanks, Ellen. So today, why don't we start with a brief description of what is AI, and then look at what has the potential to save the most time for in-house legal teams. We'll leave some time for questions at the end. So, but feel free to ask questions in real time. There's a chat box on the right side where you can ask questions. If we don't get to your questions during the presentation, we'll address them at the end. So, Ellen, what exactly is AI in the context of the legal profession, and specifically contract management?
Yeah, great question, Hiro. And artificial intelligence is one of my favorite conversation points, not just because of the substance of the topic, but really because of the reaction it creates in people. I find most people fall into one of two groups. You have the AI is the holy grail that we've been searching for group, and you have the AI as some slightly creepy robot that can't be trusted group. I have to confess I'm probably somewhere in the middle of this. Some of the technology with AI I embrace really easily. I'm thinking Siri or Alexa, hey Alexa, add salt to the grocery list. And then some of it just feels too futuristic for me. And I think of those Facebook ads that seem to pop up when I've literally just thought of something, like I'm not even searching my browser, I swear. And then there's an ad for Facebook on Facebook for some item that it is that I was thinking about.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So for me, I have mixed feelings, not about having technology anticipate what I'm trying to do, I'm fine with that, but more about how well it works. So it's great when it gets it right, like if I ask Alexa a question and she gives me an actual answer, rather than something like, here's what I found on the web, which is usually out of date. I do like it when my phone can detect when I'm driving and offers to read out my texts, but I'm not sure that that's AI, is it?
Yeah, I mean, in reality, there's actually the third group of people when it comes to AI, and that's the I'm not opposed to it, but what do we actually mean by AI? So with AI, if you turn to Google and start looking, there are more definitions and descriptions than you can count. It also does encompass such broad concepts that specifically understanding what it can do for you in your individual profession or even personal life is a bit of a challenge. So I recently came across a definition or an explanation more so that resonated with me, especially in the context of AI for the legal profession. A recent International Association for Contract and Commercial Management article described AI as this: an artificially intelligent system is designed to assist and facilitate the human decision maker. An artificially intelligent system gets better at its job based on the information fed into it. And what I like about this definition is that it takes some of the fear out of AI. AI does not have to be that creepy robot we can't trust. It does not have to mean job loss, especially within the legal profession. It will, however, mean job change. So AI, what it can really do is take the routine, repetitive, administrative tasks off of your plate and allow you to spend more time on the core substantive decisions. And based on early trials with AI, it will do those tasks in a fraction of the time and with far more accuracy even than your average law firm partner. And so for legal departments, in particular those that might have limited staff or just more work than they can manage, leveraging automation and AI really will help it make it possible to actually get the necessary work done.
So which particular areas of the contracting process do you see AI making a big impact for legal departments?
Yeah, Hero, there are really 3 big areas in your law department that should leverage AI to save time. That's access to information, data extraction, and risk scoring. And each of these are going to help the law department move from time spent on the routine activities to that higher level, the more strategic, the more complex activities where time makes the most difference. So let's talk through each one of these. First up, we have access to information. And I'm starting here for those on the call today who might be in that "I'm not sure I can trust AI" group. So this is really just an easy application of AI, and the majority of us are already using this in daily life already. It's the "Hey Alexa, what's the weather forecast today?" Or, as my son, who likes to ask over and over and over again, regardless of season, "Hey Alexa, play Frosty the Snowman." So it's the same style workflow in the office, only with hopefully a lot less Frosty the Snowman. For example, there you are sitting at your desk, diligently reviewing a complex contract, and emails start coming in from the GC or from finance asking about significant contract renewals that might be coming up in the next fiscal quarter. In today's workflow, you might have to stop what you're doing, navigate to your contract lifecycle management tool or to an Excel spreadsheet. It takes all kinds right now. And so then from there, it's going to take you, 2 to 10 minutes at best to either run a report in your CLM tool or filter dates on that Excel spreadsheet to get to the answer that you need. With the AI, however, you can simply call out, "Hey Alexa, what contracts are up for renewal in the next fiscal quarter?" And you'll have the answer right away, and you can quickly fire off a response and get back to the important work that you were doing. And so when you think about all of the requests that might come into you in a given week, or even what you're asking yourself every day, like, "Hey, what is the status of the contract, or when was that renewal deadline?" The time savings really quickly begins to add up. And then more importantly, depending on what departments might have access to your contract lifecycle management tool, they could just as easily call out for themselves, "Hey Alexa, what's the status of the widget contract?" And then you've eliminated that email traffic altogether. So that's the first one. Second must-have is data extraction. I know everybody loves a good discussion on data extraction, and nothing can be better than two types of data extraction to talk about. And so that's what we've got for you today. All joking aside though, the data extraction, while it's not flashy, is really critical in saving time. So we'll start with metadata extraction. This is important as you think about implementing a contract lifecycle management tool and when you're bringing in your existing contracts to that solution. There are certain critical data points in the contract that you'll need to have in your contract lifecycle management tool to track. And with the metadata extraction, this means that no person has to actually sit and sift through each contract and then type in those data points. So this significantly reduces the amount of time it would take for you to have meaningful data in your contract lifecycle management solution. So what does this look like? Let's assume that you're bringing in the basics to the tool: renewal date, contract dates, contract name, contracting party. Best case scenario, it's going to take someone 5 minutes to open up the contract, find that information, key it in, or copy and paste it into your contract lifecycle management tool. If you're bringing in 1,000 contracts, that's 5,000 minutes, which comes out to over 83 hours of constant time, 2 work weeks completely back to back, every minute packed with just data entry alone. And most companies have far more than 1,000 contracts, and most companies want to track far more than those basic data points.
So, Ellen, I'm glad you brought up data import as part of the implementation process. The first step in installing CLM is importing all your legacy contracts and categorizing them, which is easier with AI. And a quick caveat on using AI to import existing contracts. Beware of people who say we've trained our AI on millions of documents, so our AI is ready to go out of the box. This is simply not the case with the state of the art today. The sort of dirty secret of AI is that the intelligence comes from training, which can be an arduous and expensive process. Yes, there are some documents that are fairly standard across organizations, like NDAs, but for most enterprises, while the majority of their contract and document types are going to be industry standard, almost all will have elements that are unique to the organization. So the AI will need to be trained for those unique elements. It doesn't mean that you have to feed it millions of each document type, but it will need a few hundred. The important thing here is to look for a vendor or whatever system you're using, look for a systematic training process that organizes the data in a way that makes sense. So without good training, any benefits from AI will be MIA. At Agilent, we've done a lot of work to organize, simplify, and to a large extent automate the training within the Agilent platform. So this upfront work gives our customers a big leg up during data import and implementation.
And that leg up, Hero, translates directly to time savings during implementation. And then from there, even beyond implementation, that time, that training that happens in implementation leads to metadata extraction capabilities that will help bring in contracts even down the road. So in the future, contracts that might have been negotiated outside the contract lifecycle solution, you can efficiently import those fully executed copies to track and manage, again, saving the time of the data entry down the road too. Another bit of data extraction is clause extraction, and there's no secret here. It does just what it sounds like it would. It pulls out clauses in a contract. And this is really helpful for those legal departments that are doing a lot of third-party paper. So you can have the AI pull out all of the clauses and then be able to quickly analyze them. Does this contract have limitation of liability provisions? Are there IP provisions? And this is the beginning step to saving time on substantive contract review. And so that leads us right into the next one, where we combine the clause extraction with risk scoring. So risk scoring, with this AI, the extracted clauses can then be compared to a clause library to analyze the overall risk that this contract poses to the business. So in this screenshot, just to give you an idea of what this would look like, you can see at the bottom there are specific conditions that are being analyzed and scored separately as the contract is reviewed. And then in the middle, you can see there's an overall risk score that has been generated. And so this score allows in-house counsel and contract managers to focus in on the critical substantive provisions and those riskiest contracts first. One example here where this can be helpful is, let's say you've got 5 contracts in queue and 4 of them have a low risk score. With a quick look then, you can quickly tackle those first 4 low risk contracts first and keep the business moving forward. And then you can focus in on the more complex contract. In a workflow without this risk scoring, you're going to have to open each contract, read through each one, and then assess how much attention each is needed before deciding how to prioritize your time. So really the AI is going to do the work of prioritization for you, and you can take a quick peek, you know exactly where the problem areas are, and then you can sit down and get the work done. And this is the type of AI that makes me so excited, both from a legal perspective and a business perspective. I'm a unique combination of lawyer turned salesperson and an odd transition, and nothing is maybe worse than a salesperson who's also a lawyer in terms of having to deal with contract review. But the sales part of me looks at this and thinks, the faster counsel can get me contracts back, the faster I can get that back to the client and keep business moving. And that is just so important from that business perspective. And as the lawyer in me, and especially as a former associate who used to slog through very long contracts, knowing that I wouldn't have to do that to sort through just some mundane language that really isn't an issue. I mean, that's the stuff dreams are made of.
Great, so that's perfect, Ellen. So you mentioned dynamic clause selection, but also important is flagging non-compliant languages and suggesting text-based on contexts that are also AI benefits that save time.
A great point, Hero. Really, the risk scoring is just the beginning, and there's so much potential with AI that to be able to have, yeah, the exact non-compliant language flagged for you, and even, hey, replace it with this, is so hugely helpful. Serving up that curated content to counsel and contract managers to expedite review, and really importantly, ensure consistency and accuracy across business contracts.
Great. Hey, I'd also like to add one quick point about data import using AI. If you have 50 or 100,000 legacy documents, using AI is really the only way to go. However, if you only have a few thousand legacy contracts, say less than 5,000, you may be tempted to just do the categorization manually rather than train the AI, especially if you have access to lower cost offshore resources that can do that categorization cost effectively. And many companies do that and only start thinking about implementing AI after they set up their contract lifecycle management workflows. So nothing wrong with that. But I would say that if the training is done as part of the implementation or document import process, it does offer huge benefits going forward in that you can train the system on your workflows as part of the implementation.
Exactly, Hero. And I already mentioned, you know, that translates to immediate time savings, but it also helps with adoption. You know, when users get into a new tool and can see just tremendous benefit with their time savings and contract review right out of the gate, it goes a long way in getting everyone invested in using the tool and using it well. And so now that we've painted a picture and you're envisioning a world where contract review is focused on the exciting substantive assessments and negotiations and less on that routine administrative component, there are still a few things to keep in mind with AI. First, it's not magic. Well, we wish it could be, and while it can be the holy grail for some, it certainly is not magic. And there are great pre-built AI capabilities, but as Hero has mentioned, AI really needs to be trained with your data to be most effective for your business. That's not something to be afraid of, but it is part of the process that you should plan for to make it successful. Second, it won't cure all your problems. If you don't have a good solution in place for contract lifecycle management, if you don't have a good process, AI is going to be very difficult to implement or to derive any type of long-term value. So step one is have a good process in place, get a good solution, contract lifecycle management solution, and have the AI partner with that so you get the most out of the AI. And then lastly, along that same line of thinking, go all in with it. You want to leverage the full capacity of a contract lifecycle management tool, from contract creation to negotiation to execution, so that all of the data is there. The more data, the better for AI, and it will give you the full benefit of AI as it exists today and tee you up to take advantage of those AI capabilities of the future that are coming in rapid succession. Hero, did you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I would just add that the AI technology you choose makes a difference. So Agiloft's AI is built on open standards so that your department will continue to have access to the new cutting-edge AI functionality. It's also designed to keep your IT team happy from a cost and workload perspective. So not all AI is built the same way, and you want to be sure that you have a tool like an Agiloft that will continue to evolve with your legal department.
Excellent, thank you, Hero. And so today, hopefully you can paint a picture for you of where you can save time with AI in your legal department. There is more information too along the contract lifecycle management. There are additional Agiloft webinars coming up to talk more about the benefits for your law department and how to help you successfully get a solution in place. So we've got that teed up here. and then we will go ahead and open things up for questions. We had a few come in during the presentation, so we'll start with those and then go ahead and add any questions to the chat box on the right there as well.
So Ellen, before we get to questions, I think we have a question of our own, and I think it goes to the question you brought up earlier. If you already have a CLM solution, so this is if you want to respond to this poll, we'll close it in about a minute. You already have a CLM solution that you're working with right now. And we'll show the answers in just a minute. Okay, so Alistair, go ahead and close the poll and show the results.
We need a drum roll, Hero.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll wait for those results. I think we'll get started with the questions that did come in. And I just got some information that we have a technical difficulty with showing the results. So let's do the questions and then maybe we can figure that out. Actually, you can't see the results, but I will tell you what they are. It's 29% say yes, they are currently using a CLM system. 58% of you said no, and 13% said yes, you are using a CLM system, but you're looking to make a change. So sorry about that technical difficulty. So to the questions that came in, the first one is for me. It says, you mentioned AgileLoft AI is built on open standards. Oh, here are the results that he was able to put up. Anyway, we'll move on from that. You mentioned AgileLoft AI is built on open standards. What do you mean by that? So what I mean by that is that AgileLoft natively integrates Amazon SageMaker and Google TensorFlow. The advantage of doing it this way is that TensorFlow gives you access to the cutting edge innovation. It's supported by Google. So right now, AI is in its early stages and is evolving so fast that developing your own proprietary technology, you're never going to keep up with the evolution. So it's sort of like if you're a cycling fan, it's like a lone rider, the Tour de France, breaking away from the peloton. It won't be long before you get reeled in and dropped off the back. So that's the advantage of open standards. You can take advantage of all the other people doing work in AI. And then from a raw computing perspective, I would say it's easy to underestimate the amount of resources training all these documents take on your servers. So your IT team will want a cost-effective way to offload that workload. And we do that with integration with Amazon SageMaker. Here's one for Ellen. It's from Hemal Mehta. Can you give tangible example of high-risk clauses? Is it comparing against a standard clause, against your library? How is it quantifying risk? So that last one I could probably take, but Ellen, do you?
Yeah, I mean, your high risk clauses, those are really going to vary, I think, company by company, depending on your particular business industry. But something like limitation of liability, that's always what I think of, or IP, depending on if you're producing products, right? But basically what you're going to do is you're going to have a clause library that you'll set up in your contract lifecycle management solution, and you'll do some prioritization of those as well. And so that way, when a contract comes in and the AA takes a look at it, it already knows what are your high priority clauses. And I'll let Hero talk a little bit more about how you actually quantify that, but you do some educating of the AI with that clause library as well, so that it gives it a leg up to quantify the risk.
Right, and so I think you sort of answer that question as well. So just to answer the second part of that, is it comparing against standard clauses in your library? Yes, it does. How is it quantifying? It does that based on your parameters. So it's part of the training process. Next one, Ravi, we're not using any contract management solution. Will AI help me to use this solution? So AI is part of our contract management solution. So you will need a contract management solution, and one that includes AI is the way to go. I would say to that. Go ahead, Ellen.
I think for legal teams, as you're considering, especially if you don't already have a tool, because of what is already happening with AI, the things we talked about, and I'll focus on risk scoring because I think as a lawyer, that one gets me the most excited about AI because of what it can do to look at your contracts in a third-party paper and how it compares to your language. It can highlight non-compliant language already, and coming very soon even is the ability to suggest alternative language. Because of how it's advancing, you would be remiss to have a contract lifecycle management solution implemented that doesn't have that AI. So I think, if you don't have a solution and you're looking for one, make sure you do find one that's got the AI like AgileOps that can really help you get to the next level with contract review.
Okay, got a follow-up from Ravi. Is this solution available in voice or text only? So I think the question is, can you use voice commands like "Hey Alexa"? And the answer to that is yes. We integrate with Alexa, so you can use voice commands. Like Ellen gave an example earlier. Hey Alexa, how many contracts do we have upcoming for renewal? You can use that functionality. Another question, how do I pitch AI to my GC to get buy-in?
Yeah, so that's a great one, Hero. And I think that depending on your DC, there are some caveats, but for the most part, you want to start with the numbers. And so really laying out, here is where we will save time and money by rolling out a contract lifecycle management solution. That is the most compelling advice. And so, for example, AgileOps can help you put together a business case where you would see the return on investment with a contract solution. And so I always say start there in black and white with where the savings is going to be. And especially in the world that we're living in now with COVID around the globe, everybody is looking to save money. And that doesn't mean you can't invest some money in new tools if the payoff still, that return on investment is going to put you far ahead. And contract lifecycle management is one of those areas. And then also I always think, you got to think about the person too. So from that people perspective, is your GC one that is actually doing some contract review? Find out what's driving him crazy about that and show him or her how the contract tool can help reduce that. Or if they are a metrics general counsel, if your general counsel loves to have the numbers and where the renewals are coming and have that visibility, that's a good place too. So always find, the black and white hard ROI and pair that with something that really will hit home to your own general counsel to really, get her over the edge or get him over the edge and to buy in for a tool like this.
Great, thanks. So next one, I like it. It's an AgileOps question. Does the AgileOps solution help monitor contract performance in terms of a metrics dashboard? The answer to that is a yes. And then let's see, how much accuracy can you expect from the solution? So that's part of training. Once it's trained, it goes through a validation process up to a point where you are comfortable. Say like an accuracy confidence score of 95% is sometimes used. Let's see, we're coming up to the end, so let's see, I hope your solution is more focused, augmented intelligence rather than artificial intelligence. That's a good question. I have been reading a lot more about augmented intelligence and how it's different from artificial intelligence. So that may be a topic for a different time. So actually, we've come to the end of our time, and I want to be respectful of people's time. So we will respond directly to the other questions that have come in by email. So thank you, Ellen, for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for joining this webinar. I hope it was useful to you.